Hello everyone, it's Noel from Noel's Nook, and today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of creating a palette swatch binder. If you've been around these parts long enough, you may have seen me pull out this baby during my real-time paints to reference. This is just a simple half-inch 3-ring binder. You can opt to go bigger or smaller, the choice is completely up to you. What I like about my little system here is the page protectors. That way my swatches stay clean and they're easily accessible, allowing me to thumb through the binder with ease. So let me first talk about the importance of creating a swatch book, and then I'll walk you through how you can create your own. The main reason I like having a swatch book is to prevent waste. While it's pretty minimal for the most part, having to continually swatch colors on a piece of scrap paper to find the right color for a piece can be somewhat wasteful. But I will do small swatches every now and then if I want to, say, combine colors. But you can even prevent that as well by creating a color combination swatch chart, which I haven't done because it's incredibly time consuming. Basically what that entails is taking 2 colors or more, but usually just 2 colors from any given supply set, and then you swatch it. Like, so for example, I would take this pink and this red, swatch it, this pink and this purple, swatch it, this pink and this green, and swatch it, and so on and so forth. And for someone like me who has a 120 watercolor pencil set, you can understand why I really don't want to do that. Having a swatch book also shows you what colors you have available to you, as well as gives you a sense of what colors you may want to add to your collection. For example, this is my swatch page for my Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolors. The ones I have are swatched, and the ones I don't have are blank. Another point to add would be, if you're like me and you have a ton of art supplies, you can quickly go between pages to see if supplies from different collections can be used in the same piece. For example, I mix different brands of watercolor pencils in the same piece because different brands often carry different ranges of color. For example, my Faber-Castell 120 piece set definitely has more of a range of colors compared to, say, my 24 set of the Koh-i-Noor ones. On the same note, having swatches also allows you to quickly compare the quality or color palette of one set of supplies to another. So I have my Kuretake here, and I have my little pots here. See, they have kind of the same colors in their palettes, but the quality of Kuretake I feel like is a little bit superior, whereas, you know, little pods is, well, for kids, so. So now that I've talked about the benefits of having a swatch book, let's dive in and see how you can make your own. Like I said, you can make your swatch book however you like, but for ease, I'm going to talk about how I went about making my swatch book. Again, this is a 1/2-inch 3-ring binder, and inside it holds 8.5 by 11-inch page protectors. When I'm going to swatch supplies, I cut paper that I'll be using for my actual art pieces. So for example, I used this Bristol board for my marker swatches, and I used watercolor paper for my watercolor swatches. And while I didn't do this, you should also make a note somewhere of the details of the paper that you use, such as the brand and the poundage, etc. And one more thing, it would also be a good idea to swatch the same art supplies on different brands of paper to see if they look better on one or the other. Depending on what I'm swatching, I like to make sure I'm using as much paper surface as possible, so I'll often play around with the arrangement of the rectangles until I can get something that will fit as many swatches as possible on one side. I always use a ruler and light pencil marks when I'm doing this, and I can usually comfortably fit 10 or 12 swatches in a row, so yeah, like this way. I think I got my rows and columns mixed up, but basically I can fit 10 to 12 this way and about 4 or 5 this way. And depending on the medium, I'll leave the pencil marks in or I'll set them with ink. So for example, these are set with ink because they're markers, and I think afterwards I did them with my watercolor pencils, but it's all up to preference for that. When I make my swatch pages, I always leave room at the top so I can write in the name of the art supplies and any other details like the set that they came from. And below the swatches themselves, I leave a space so I can mark the name of the swatched color. Now for watercolors, I will actually swatch each color twice, once for dry and once for wet. And you can actually see that marked here. And I do that just to give me an idea of how specific colors react in those situations. Like for example, you can see that the orange glaze looks a lot different dry than it does wet. And lastly, when I remember to, I also try to make a gradient with my colors, just so I can see the kind of range that I'm getting from each one. And some things to keep in mind, if a palette has no designated color names like this one, my little pods, I always try to swatch the colors in the order that they appear on the palette, row by row, color by color. And if it helps you, you can mark your palette and swatch page with a combination of numbers and letters like in bingo to help you. So for example, this color would be A1, this would be B1, and etc, etc. But if I just swatch it like this, I don't really have any problems. And that's pretty much it. Your swatch book will be your new best friend. I hope this video helped some of you out, and if you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more art-related content, I would totally appreciate if you would subscribe. And remember to draw what you love and love what you draw. And make swatches.